Good morning, hello and welcome to Tabletop 24, and thank you for joining us once again down at the Armouries in Leeds. We are here supporting Living Realms doing their event for the weekend called FabFest. So we have got Skirmish today and we have got a Battle Hardened tomorrow. So this is, I believe the premiere for Skirmish Season 4.
It is, they've got it early. So, yeah, we're kicking it off, seeing what Blitz is like before we hit the Battle Hardened tomorrow and the all-important PTIs for now France ProQuest. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, so we've got, obviously it's 2 days of Blitz, so I think across both days we're looking at about 23 rounds. So quite a lot of games going on.
Quite a lot. There's 74 players registered today.
Yeah.
Whether or not people who haven't registered, they can just walk in, and we can find them a seat. But yeah, 74 today. There's going to be a lot of players who are using it as practice for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's Battle Hardened. Whether or not they've made the travel and bought extra cards to switch decks, I don't know. But there's certainly going to be, a few decisions to be made going into Battle Hardened for tomorrow for some people.
Yeah, I think we know of several people that have actually made the decision today to test that they weren't too sure about.
Yeah, well, they played last night and they were doing quite well, weren't they? And then this morning they have completely changed hero.
Yeah.
And they're frantically playing some practice games in the canteen to try and get a bit more comfortable with what they're playing. Whether or not that's the right decision, whether or not that was, left it a little bit too late, I don't know. But at least they've got today to practice that deck going into Battle Hardened.
Yeah, and we've already, so talking to the players as well, we've already seen quite a few of the UK's best, I would say. So we've got our UK number 1 and number 2 in the building.
Yeah, there is a good quality of players here today. A lot of people have come in, get practice for Blitz, hit Battle Hardened tomorrow, and hit the rest of the Blitz season hard.
Yeah, so tomorrow's obviously is the bigger event. There's cash prizes on offer tomorrow. Today, it's playing for prestige of the Skirmish Season 4. Yeah. I think, as we said last time at our ProQuest, Living Realms is the event that most of the people in the UK want to win.
Yeah. It is the heart of Fab for the UK. You would say this is going to be the biggest. Everybody else is going to be running skirmishes from their stores. But yeah, 74 today, over 100 tomorrow. So yeah, it's going to be
a big weekend. Big weekend.
So let's go through. We mentioned, the quality of players that are here. So let's give a shout out to a few names. So ProQuest winners from the season we just had. So we've got our national champion Matthew Folks is here. Rob Catton, who won his ProQuest in Kingdom Gaming. Johnny Chapman is here. He won it in York, I believe. Jacob Hand, who was always the bridesmaid and never the bride throughout ProQuest. He made so many semis and he won it on the very last one in Canterbury. So amazing. I had a chat with him today. I was so chuffed for him. Rob Can. Yeah. Sharif Shaban is here today. People know him as Shingo. And then we've got ProQuest. People have made the ProQuest cuts. So still good quality of players, possibly just edged out a little bit. So we've got Mark Henderson, Jamie Faulkner, Dan Tripp from Push the Point is here, Joe Stamper, Aaron Parsons, George Jones, Sean DeMario and Craig DeMario. So there is a brotherly rivalry going on. They're at the back tables at the minute getting a few practice games in. Eric Hoth, Mark Warren, Matthew Sarrington and George Roger. George made quite a few cuts throughout, and Canterbury was his last one he went to. So yeah.
So obviously, and we're starting to see a few good teams of people starting to collate. I mean, big shout out to our own Manor Screw Crazy Brew crew. We've got, I think, it's about 6 or 7 over the weekend, so that would be good to them as well.
There's a few wearing their team shirts, so it's nice to see them and friendly faces. But what is noticeable is how many new faces are here. So, we've covered quite a few now. We're getting to know the top players that make it through to the cuts, and you always say hi to them. But we were sitting here setting up, and I turned around to you and I said, I don't know any of these people. We've got 74 people, and I hardly know any. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. It just shows the growth of Fab that we've got in the UK. Yeah. And everybody, like we said, wants to come to the Living Realms one.
Yeah. And everybody always does say that obviously Blitz is the onboarding part. Now we're going to see some tough matchups this weekend, no doubt, and we've been talking quite a bit. Maybe there might be some very quick matchups. So I think we've seen a couple of games that are sort of
turn two
if you get there. And we have got a 30-minute timer on the round for the main Swiss rounds. So I think we might not be seeing that for every round, so it will give us a bit of time to get some of the players up and have a chat with them.
Yeah, Blitz is a fast format. Blitz in the UK has always been massively aggressive. It is an aggressive format. You can't afford to lose tempo. You generally want to go second, get the tempo, maintain the tempo. The ways to switch the advantages for you to chuck your fridge in, take that damage on your armor and hopefully swing back and maintain it yourself. Some characters are better off with their armor than others, shall we say?
We've definitely seen
if we go to Battle Hardened in October, so the Battle Hardened event for Nationals, that was dominated by Dorinthia, Ira, and Lexi. So traditionally, prior to the National Battle Hardened Blitz event, it was Dorinthia and Ira battling it through sort of like all the other sets that were released. We didn't know how the Tales of Aria characters would affect that, but Lexi kind of shone more than the others for the Blitz format. People weren't really familiar with the Olden Fatigue then, and that has certainly come through. Obviously, people have practiced for CC, and we've seen other characters dominate, and we had Bryce Chirio really, take the format by the horns and strangle out all the other competition. But January, Adam East at Kingdom Gaming, he run a Blitz event. It was the Kingdom Gaming Invitational, so it was a good chance to see Blitz again, and Kano came out in top that day. We've seen now for during the ProQuest, there was a player in America that turned zeroed with Kano. Whether or not it's possible to do that in Blitz, because it is just top deck in a golden hand, and it really amazing to see. If you could get that on stream, it'd be just so sweet. But that would be rather a quick game, and it'd be like, oh, we've got to do another 30 minutes of chatting.
Yeah, there is that. Obviously, it's going to be a very quick turnaround. I mean, so there's 25 heroes available to players this weekend in the Blitz format.
Yeah.
There are clearly a tiering in there. I mean, there's going to be some of these that we're not going to see, or be very surprised to see.
Yeah, we're not going to see Shiana.
No. Shiana, Kavdeen, Janice.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see them. You need someone who's going to go fast or have lots of armor to try and protect you through the early stages of the game, so you can set up later. So how EverQuest has actually changed the Blitz format and the Blitz meta. So Everfest released hero specializations for KO with Ready to Roll, so it can turn on his ability. We've got Kasai with Blood on her hands, so she now has more of her options for generating her copper instead of cash in to generate some more cards. She can really turn those coppers into something more beneficial and a lot more explosive and powerful. Data Doll finally with microprocessor to give her like pseudo intellect and give her more options. And she's not limited to getting one of those out. She could get multiple of those items out, and she can go to pretty much intellect 5. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic to see. Benji got Spring Tidings. So he was always like an outlier before. People always went to Ira because she had the explosive power turn 2, and it was like Kadachi flying kick, or Kadachi command and conquer for 7. So yeah, Benji's got some good stuff. 100 wins, Breaking Tide, Spring Tidings for extra draw. We'll go through sort of like some cards that can really go into him.
Yeah, and we've already seen obviously the hypothetical Benji draw that can
turn 0
again.
Turn 1, sorry.
Yeah, turn 1 really outputs some damage. But again, these are hypotheticals, and like we said about Kano, is you can top deck a god hand, can't you? Really?
Yeah, totally. So good heroes for today. So you would think going into Blitz would be if you look back at the past ones, you would look at Dorinthia and you would look at Ira, but now you could look at Oldhim for Fatigue. People are used to playing Oldhim Fatigue now. Whether or not you're going to be able to do it for all, 6 or 7 rounds today, make it into the cut.
Seven till we get to top cut today.
Yeah, so 30-minute timing for a Fatigue match is tight. Decks are going to be wanting to go fast. Obviously, Kano starts on slightly less health, but he's got such explosive power now. You would just go, okay, he won the last big one in England. And then moving forward, Kasai you would think is a good bet. Now she's got her blood on her hands. Benji, like we said, KO because he's now got his specialisation. So the new characters with specialisations you could pump for. We might see. We've seen Viserai come up in the last week. There was organised play. AU had an online tournament, and most of that top 8 was Viserai. The other heroes, Briar could come back. She's allowed Plunder Run now, so some form of a Cheerios Briar Plunder Run. We haven't obviously got the lightning card that was banned. Ball lightning, that's not available.
No, but it gives them allows people to go back to those options. It'd be interesting to see how many people do bring out those Plunder Runs now that they can use it. Yeah,
because Briar was pretty much dropped for ProQuest. She just didn't perform. Lexi, lightning over ice, because ice, yes, it can give you a resource punishment or a penalty, but that needs to be stacked turn after turn. And the problem is with Blitz, we ain't going to have turn after turn, and Lexi has not got the armour. No. She needs to have armour to try and survive, so it'll be lightning over ice.
I think we're really going to see a big push from those heroes that have got that sort of 8 on board.
You need a fridge today if you're going to have one. So the other one could be Dash. Be nice to see Dash.
Never sleep on Dash.
She can do.
But again, she's a slower hero. Unless you're going full aggro boost and you're hitting all those 0 costs, I think.
The problem is with boost dash is explosive, but as soon as somebody sees you just boosting, they will just block, and you will fatigue out so fast because you're using your cards, using your resources, and using your banish zone, and you will blast through your deck. So you have to have another game plan with boost dash. She's got a few nice items, and we'll go through those in a minute. So let's break down the heroes a little bit better.
Okay.
So just make an announcement.
So we're going to do a players briefing. We're just going to drop you onto the transition slides whilst we wait, so you're not deafened by Jake giving the players their briefing. We are due to kick off essentially in about the next 10 minutes, and we will hopefully get your first pairing up before then, and you'll see Barry and me back in here shortly. All right, catch you in a bit. Okay then, welcome back. We've just obviously seen round 1, and whilst round 1 was going on, we did manage to pick up what the hero breakdown is. So, just hidden a little bit there below our face. He's now the number 1 represented hero for the day. Our best laid plans and all that. So, Kasai.
We briefly touched on it. We kind of didn't have time to really go through the hero breakdown and what to expect. But yeah, I mean, you would say Kasai was going to be like the top warrior, especially with her cards. Blood on your hands and Oath of Steel would be the other card for the combo with it. She's a good deck. She's not the fastest, but she can certainly take some damage with her, her fridge, recycling her dynamos. She is a really good deck.
So with Kasai so well represented, and obviously Viserai coming up quite quickly, quite second, having that slow setup that a lot of the Warriors need, do we think that this could potentially outrace?
It could do. We've seen her in practices, winning by turn 2. His rune chant generation is crazy, especially with Revel in Rune Blood. I generate 6. That's already sort of like coming up to, it's over a quarter of your health if you don't defend it. Whether or not Kasai's running more reds to really get the +3 from the extra cards like Blade Runner and cards like Outlander Skirmish, is she missing the blues that really, you're going to need to defend against that rune chant damage? It's going to be interesting to see. It is like she's a bit tanky, especially versus, against most of the field. But I think Viserai can get kind of round her armour because she has to take an arcane barrier.
Yeah.
In whatever form that would be. Either take your full braces off. You're definitely not going to take your dynamos off. You're probably not going to take your courage of blade hold, because that kind of like that extra resource you will save on a blood of the oath. Blood on your hand turn is probably worth it. Overall. Lots of Kasai, lots of Viserai.
And it's a fairly even split after that. I mean, Oldham obviously is 6 and Benji and Bravo at 5. Yeah. But I know, to be fair, I think I'm surprised at Bravo being 5.
Yeah, but he was never great before in Blitz format, and that's why Oldham is a better pick or a more popular pick overall, because we've seen what he could do through the Tales of Aria Blitz and the sealed events. And Winter's Whale, or like we've seen now with Sledge of Anvilheim. Normally Sledge you would only see in a Kano matchup, but obviously Isaac and Robbie showed us what he could do in a Guardian Mirror. So yeah, that would have been a surprise to me.
It was going to be hitting harder there, wasn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah,
but Oldham managed to recycle with Seeds to get an extra card in his hand to make sure he's always got full resources to pitch to Anvilheim. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Have to be slightly more aggressive against each other because they've got a fatigue matchup. So Dorinthia, when you've got Kasai and how good she's looking now in Blitz, I wasn't surprised that Dorinthia wasn't picked.
But I mean, even then, you've got 4 Dorinthia players, and I think we know that there's a couple of Dorinthia players out there that are actually some of the better Dorinthia players.
There is Mr. Dorinthia, Sharif Shaban. He is gone back to Dorinthia. I have asked him if he'll come on the stream, and he said yes. I've been quite fortunate because I think people are getting used to the stream now. They're not saying no to me.
No, they're part of the fixtures and fittings now. The Q&A, see?
Come on, come up.
Well, if they carried on, we weren't going to get to the point where we wouldn't have anybody on. So, so it's good. So
there is an Icelander. That'll be quite interesting. 2 Azaleas. I'm quite surprised we've got an Icelander over Kano. We did see. Okay, it's a 1 minute warning.
That's 1 minute on the round.
There are a couple of people still playing. That's probably an Oldham Mirror, to be fair. So yeah, we did see Push the Point with Simon Denning and Hamish. They had an Icelander game. They showed Simon showed what Channel Lake Frigid can do out of Arsenal on your opponent's turn. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean that can really hamper someone's plans. That extra ice. It's the same as playing Heart of Ice. If you can pick that.
And it gets that extra half turn out of it as well, doesn't it? Because it's not getting ticked up that turn. So you've got that. If you can then pull out an ice card on your follow-up turn. Yeah.
And the player who's playing Icelander is Dan Vandenberg. He's in his full cosplay costume of Spring Tunic. So hopefully at some point I'll get Dan up and then we can see Icelander. That'll be a nice deck to show. So fingers crossed, I might even get it for game 2. We'll see what the outcome was. Because obviously, for the first period, we want to try and put people on who are actually got a positive score. And then near the end, we can sort of like cherry pick round 5, round 6. We might pick someone further down, just so we don't get a mirror. So we can look at, maybe think, we haven't shown that character. Let's try and show it off.
Yeah, it's going to be quite hard for us not to get a mirror with Kasai and Viserai taking up. So they're almost like we've got a third of the field. So
yeah, but we're going to get hopefully, we'll see those in the top cuts, so we can concentrate on maybe not your most popular hero, but certainly get a game with 6 rounds. We can hopefully get a game with a lesser well represented character.
Fingers crossed. All right then, so stay with us. We will be back shortly, hopefully with round 2. Our players do have about 5 minutes in between the rounds. They are actually finished on round now, so we should have about 5 minutes before we get started again. So stay tuned. Okay then, we are back whilst everybody's on lunch. It's a bit of a quiet hall out there at the minute, isn't it?
It's nice, isn't it? Everyone's getting their meal deal.
They are indeed. Right, bear with us 2 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop us up in the corner there. See, there we are. And I've done it again. Let's take it away. We just can't take away from Jude there after that victory. So this is our.
It's just unreal.
That's our standings after round
rounds.
4. Yeah. So 4 of our 6, 7 rounds of Swiss today.
Yeah.
So we have obviously got Jude and Jason, who we've already seen. George, we know. Obviously, Jamie, we've seen as well. So he's only lost coming to Jude
in
there.
The last round yet. So Jude Fisher, he's on Dorinthia. Jason Hamer, he's on Kasai. Peter Ward is on Kasai. Alex Berry is on Dorinthia. George Roger is on KO. Jamie Faulkner, Viserai. Liam Holden, Viserai. So that's our top 8 at the minute. So quite surprising that Dorinthia is up there in the top spots. She hasn't gained anything new.
No.
So she's punishing those players who aren't used to the newer players coming in because of the Blitz format or the speed of Blitz.
It's the blocking. Nobody knows how to block.
Yeah, totally.
It's getting that block completely right. I mean, personally, I found this. When we did the farewell welcome to Wraith.
Yeah.
And I drafted Dorinthia in that first round and just nobody knows how to block it because they're so used to playing out these cards and that maybe you'll block 3, you'll throw your armor in front of it. You've got legendary majestic armor that you can throw in front of it, but back then,
Yeah.
you
Well,
didn't know anything.
we're seeing that game. You know, Jamie Faulkner is a really good Viserai player. He took Viserai to top cuts during ProQuest, and even he was, you know, he was throwing 10 armor in front of Dorinthia's attacks, and she was still coming in. You know, and she was going, "I'll hit you for 12." She punishes a poor block, and when you don't know what someone's holding, like that Singing Steel Blade into a overpower, you know, that's massive. In a classic constructed game, you know, it doesn't matter that much. You know, but when you're playing Blitz, half the life, these things
Yeah,
are massive, are really big points.
Really big. So obviously we saw there as well that Jude's also running Dawnblade. So a lot of people have obviously switched over to Sabres.
Well, Sabres we've seen
do you think
in
it's-
classic constructed, but
Do you think it's a bit slower than Dawnblade at this point?
no, it's just going back to basics. It's going back to basics with the character. What does Dorinthia do really well? She smashes with that Dawnblade really well. You know, and then we've got the new pack, Rhinar and Dorinthia coming out, the new
Classic
battle pack.
classic
Yeah,
battles.
and we're going to see a new Dawnblade, you know, and it's going to get a whole load of new players to appreciate how good Dorinthia is and why she dominated like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, especially in the Blitz format.
Well, when we first started playing, that was Dory was your main, wasn't she?
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the time,
yeah.
you was doing really well with her.
Yeah, yeah, love Dory.
Yeah.
So let's go over sort of like what to expect going forward. Obviously, you know, we're gonna when we go into the top cup, we're gonna see possibly more Dorinthia, we're gonna see more Kasai, you know, Viserai. So you know, really top picking at the minute. So Kasai's like we've seen with Jason Hamer previously. She's got loads of go again to collect her copper. With a copper, she can do a lot more things now instead of just playing cash in to gain those 2 extra cards. You know, with blood on her hands, she's got really explosive turns. A little bit like Bolton had with Luminar Ascension. You know, you're teeing up for that really big turn, and she's coming in with 4 attacks.
Yeah.
You know, with quite a lot of damage, go again on tap, and if she can get an Oath of Steel off, every time she attacks, she gets a +1 counter. So, you know, that the damage that she's getting.
The one that I'm going to find really interesting, obviously, I'm just going to switch back here. Yeah, so we might not see it in the next game, but the one after, Jude versus Jason, that could be quite interesting because Jason's played Dory quite a few times as well. So
yeah, Jason played Dory a lot for the last 2 years. That's how I know him. You know, Kasai was always played by a player called Pierce. I haven't seen him play for a while. I don't know if he's dropped out or anything's happened to him, but Pierce was known previously for online tournaments as being the Kasai player. And then you had Jason Hamer and Sharif playing Dory. That's classic UK meta for us.
yeah,
So yeah, and obviously with Kasai, she's got such an armor, you know, so much armor behind her. You know, Arcanite Skullcap, Courage of Bravehold, which breaks to do the Kasai, you know, specialization turn. We've got Brage 4 braces that we saw every time. Like you let that first saber go 3 for 2. Well, I'm now going to ping that extra 1 because I'm not paying for my saber attack. I'm actually paying for my Brage 4 braces. And pumps that up to 3. And just recycling Dynamo every time. She's got such an armor kit behind her. She can just, you know, try and hold out. So that is Kasai. Dorinthia, classically, she will try and get go again. From hit and runs, Warrior's Valor, she will punish you with Singing Steel Blade. She will punish you with Overpowers.
we saw that in that matchup with Jamie there. It was just go again after go again and coming in for 8 or 12. And
Yeah. I mean, you know, you could say
only-
Jude high rolled. You know what I mean? He
but-
pulled a Nourishing Emptiness. He pulled 2 Steel Blades. He pulled you know, he pulled the cards that you really want to see. You know, and you want to see them quick in a Blitz format. Yeah, that's why you put them in a deck. If they come up, they come up.
We mentioned this. We mentioned this last night when we saw somebody testing that actually they're running 2 copies of 2 good cards and another 2 copies of 2 good cards. It's a 1 in 5 chance they're going to pull that in their opening hand.
Yeah.
And actually, that's not that low a probability. So getting some of these cards out, and then if you're getting through your hand quick enough or you're recycling it in the right way, you aren't going to see it. And so yes, you could say that they're horrible, but equally, I think at this point in the Blitz game, if your deck's tuned to the right bit, you aren't going to see those cards, or at least those type of cards. It might not be the one you want to see, but it will be something that's going to benefit you.
Yeah, and sometimes those cards are beneficial for a pivotal turn to come back. You know, you might be blocking out and just holding on, and then that card could come through at the right time. This is the time I'm going to stop taking damage, and I need to start swinging for the fences. And
I do wonder
control.
whether Jamie had a bit of that, whether he was actually, do you know what, I'm just going to block out with my hand and then
He blocked
go
out
through.
really well. You know what I mean? He threw his armour in to try and block it, keep his hand. You know what I mean? But it's the pressure that Dory can bring, which, yeah, just overwhelmed him in the end. But it could have been the other way. You know what I mean? Jamie, if he'd have managed to, you know, get a load of rune chants, the amount of damage that was coming through, you know, to Jude could have, you know, that could have been. But yeah, so Kasai and Dorinthia. Let's talk about Viserai. I've made a few notes because I'm rubbish with card names.
Well, we don't. Neither of us really play Runeblade either, so it doesn't really help, does it?
Not really, no. So Viserai, Blitz format. He's looking at him. We looked at a load of testing games yesterday. He's got such explosive rune chant generation now, especially with Revel in Runeblood. And when you think that Viserai, you know, it's only 4, but really Viserai is generating 5 off of that. Well, that's a quarter of someone's health, you know, straight away in the Blitz format. And you're just like, okay. Yeah, you know,
And if they're not, and we've seen it already, and I think James won't mind me saying, he turned around in that Bri match, he's like, oh, I didn't put any arcane barrier down. And it's just that slip of, actually, if you don't even have that one arcane, Viserai's just going to literally tear you a new one.
Yeah, because essentially you can come in with five rune chants and an attack for 5, if not more. You know, because you know, become the Arc Knight. It's just crazy amount of damage that he can throw out. He's got goes again with meet and greets. Swarming Gloomville, you know, it's easily got go again, and that costs 0. They've got Rattlebones to get that Swarming Gloomville back in, you know, back out their discard pile. So yeah, they can dip into their deck and tutor a card with Become the Arc Knight. They can go into their discard pile and basically tutor a card with Rattlebones. Sonata Arcanix, we've all known from, you know, when Chain was running it, you know, for a few seasons now, how powerful that card is. And when combined with Skeletor, you know, you're doubling its damage. Yeah, okay, you can whiff. You know, but it's essentially, you know, pretty much giving you a card into your hand so you can do something else.
And again, if you're getting those rune chants out and you're getting off the draw more off the Sonata, and actually you are also then in the 40 card territory, that actually you know roughly what's left in that deck, you know whether it's going to whiff or not. I think you've got a good chance if you know your deck right and you count your card right, you know what's going to be in there.
I mean, you can easily count your discard pile, can't you? You could just go, what attack reactions have I got? What you know, non-attack have I got? So yeah, it's easily done. And then you just got to, you know, think, shall I go for it or not?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Viserai is very powerful. We've seen him increase in the Pro Tour, and now, you know, he's looking good for the new Blitz and Skirmish season.
The other thing that I think I found with Viserai particularly is the lists are very similar from Blitz to CC. You're obviously stripping the extra card out because of the legality, but you've got no Kasai obviously in the CC meta because there's no adult version of it yet, and actually you've got more of these younger heroes like the Benji, like the KO that are getting the representation up there. Whereas obviously you've got Viserai that's just going to stand there, one of the originals, and just say actually.
Yeah, but he did. You know, when he first came out, you know, he was really overlooked. He wasn't really a character that, you know, had really come into his own. You know, with the release of Toa and getting Spellblade Creepers, or Spellbound Creepers, I should say, and Rosetta Thorn, we've seen in this ProQuest season that it really has switched that hero on, you know, and increased his power level and his versatility. And he's not an easy hero to pick up and play. You've really got to look at it and go, you know, okay, I've got these 4 cards, potentially a 5th card in my arsenal, but you've got to look at those cards and go, I've got to play them in a certain order to generate the most rune chants that I can. You know, and that's where the real pressure comes. And that's where the really good Viserai players can just look at their hand and go, okay, I'll do this, this, and this. I know the line. You know, because there's multiple lines you can play with it. It is crazy.
And we said this last night, that obviously there's a lot of players that picks up Starvo over the ProQuest season. And you could say there's a lot of people, there is a little bit of skill behind it, but there's a lot of people that have turned around and gone, actually, there's no skill to this. You can win without skill, because it is a case of, do you have the triple? Are you going to come in with a big swing?
There is a point to that. There is yeah, I'm going to high roll. But there's
Yeah.
a point of high rolling in every deck.
Yeah.
That's why you construct a deck in a certain way. Did I pull that card at a certain time? Brilliant, I got it. You know, is that a high roll? Well, I kind of hedge my percentages, you know, and I basically I'm building towards that turn. Starvo, yeah, I could draw 3 cards and I'm going to get my, you know, Captain Power, whatever, Captain Planet, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, the more they attack, they actually dilute that. You know what I mean? If you're always attacking with breaking ground, you just go, you're losing all those earths. So later on in the game, you're not going to trigger it that often. So there is some skill to go, I have I have used quite a lot of earth attacks. So I kind of need to come in with an ice attack now to try and maintain that
And I think
spread
and
of
I think
elements.
we saw that with Jacob Hand, obviously, at the ProQuest from Living Realms 2 weeks ago, where you could tell what he was playing, and he was doing a balance, and he knew what he was going to do. And yes, he did pick up the power several times, but I think that was more construction than luck.
Yeah.
Whereas I think, like you said, with Viceroy, every hand you get, even if it's a high roll hand, there are different lines, and that can be really intimidating to a newer player or somebody that's not so familiar with the lines that you can play out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Look, if you go through Reveling Runeblood, generates rune chance. Mordred Tide generates rune chance. Morvian Skies generates rune chance. You know what I mean?
And do other things. It's not
Yeah,
just
give
the rune chance.
go again. Are you going to block it? Because if you don't block it, I'm going to generate a rune chant, or I'm going to get go again. It's like it asks so many questions of your opponent, you know, and they've got to block in the right way. So you're having to think about how am I going to generate the most, and then your opponent's just going, okay, I've got, you know, can I block all of this arcane? If I don't block this arcane, has he got a meet and greet in his hand? You know, or has the Runeblade player generated so much arcane that Swarming Gloomveil is going to come in, and you can't block any.
Yeah.
You know, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And it is, you know, it causes you a lot of mental, you know,
And the other thing,
mental
obviously,
expenditure to know what you're doing.
with Viceroy, obviously, you're going to be coming in with all those rune chants first. So do you take the rune chants and block out the physical, or do you block out the rune chants and take the physical? And even most cards, they're only ever going to pitch for 3, so you're only ever going to block 3. Most of them will block for 3 or 2, so you've got to weigh up that block efficiency off of it.
Yeah, but you know, it also comes down to deck construction. With only 40 cards, you know what I mean? You're playing against an opponent, Kasai. You know, he's probably playing more reds than blues. You know, to get the +3 swings on the Blade Runners, on the Outlandish Skirmish, on that swing big, or you know, a slice and dice. You know, these are the cards that basically pump up that sword. And you know, you're playing against Viceroy, and he's just like, well, I'm going to punish you for putting too many reds in your deck because you're not going to stop my arcane. So that's Viceroy. So let's get on with KO. So you know, the brute that is in our top 8 at the minute. So KO is a bit hit and miss. He's a bit casino, you know. So he is a bit brute.
It's not even a bit brute, let's be honest. He's very. And again, we've said about this high rolling. I think
He's missed the high roll.
He is Mr. Royal. Yeah, he's got some tricks up his sleeve that if he doesn't, but it is a very much a high roll.
Yeah, but so his ability, you know, when you look at it, 5s and 6s to get, you know, that you really want to roll, that is like 33%. You're only going to get that 1/3 of the time. But excuse me, with ready to roll, kind of increases that to 50%. And when you've got so much stuff to roll on, like you've got your scab skin levers to give you extra action points, you've got your bark bone to give you extra resource, you know, you're trying to set up for that, for the ready to roll turn to really unleash what KO can do. If you can combine that with a double ready to roll turn, you know, which is, you know, that's going to be like the god turn. That's like your KO rolls are like 70%. You know, that's where it's going up to. And you're just like, okay, so what we're going to get? I'm going to get loads of resource generation. I'm going to get loads of action points, and I'm going to smash your face in with sort of like, you know, 12 damage. You know, possibly dominated, and with Skull Crushers as your arm piece, that's +1. So a lot of his cards are now coming in for. It's not 12, it's 13. And if you've got 4 cards in your hand, that's only blocking for 12.
Well, forgive me, because I'm going to let the cat out of this one. So George obviously spoke to him after, I think it was round 3, and he said he won that round on turn 1.
Oh, he's turn 1 on round 1.
Yeah, it's 12 first, 6 second, 16 dominate third.
Yeah.
And like, at that point, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
it's amazing. And George has been testing this deck for quite a while. About midway through the ProQuest season, he had come off testing Starvo, and he had gone on to testing KO. Yeah, with pulping, predatory assault and swing big, they're the massive cards. They either get dominate, or they're sort of like drawing a card to do something else. But they're the high damage cards. Or you've got Wild Ride that's coming in for 13 and it's got go again. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'll throw my fridge of armour at it. I'll throw 2 cards out of my hand, and yeah, you're going to come at me again for something very similar.
Yeah, you're just hoping that the KO player rolls a 1. If he rolls a 1 on his leggings, you know, then he's just like, okay, I've got no action points.
Yeah.
You know, if I roll a 1 on at any time, my Skull Crusher arm piece are destroyed. They're gone. But against, you know, when you look against Viserai, he's still got a good package because he goes to Skullhorn for his helmet. So he's got Arcane Barrier 2. He can take out a Mandible Claw and he can put an Arcane Lantern in. So, he, you know, realistically, he could have Arcane 3 quite easily and still actually keep his main package of Barkbone, the leggings, I've forgotten the name now, and Skull Crushers, it'll come to me. Scab Skin, that's the word. But yeah, so his package is not compromised at all when facing against Arcane Barrier. And he has to have the blue cards to actually come in with his big attack. So he's got plenty of blues to keep him going. I'm not surprised that George is doing well because the amount of practice he's put in to that deck has been phenomenal.
Yeah, and this comes back to the point, and I know I've said about high rolling, you've got the dex restriction, you can hit these cards 1 in 5 out in your opening hand. So it's knowing those cards, and actually, and I said to Mike last night, I saw him playing his sort of OTK sort of turn 1, turn 2 Viserai, and I said, he opened his hand, and it was the first time in, I think, 6 games I see he didn't have one of the cards that he wanted to see. And I went, this is the game where you need to now know what to do, because this is the game where you need to fight out of that and get out of that hand, get into the hand that you want. And he did. He won it. It was a very close game, but he came out of it, and it's knowing that you can get out of that, knowing where you can go from there.
The thing is, you know, these guys are now putting so much time in. He's knowing that not to panic. You know what I mean? Even though the Blitz format is a really fast format, you have to not panic.
Yeah.
You know, we saw that with Jason. You know how calm he was. Yeah, I just play through each point. I know that blood on our hands will come up. I know it will come up. You know, he played through the pummel turn. You know, played round it first time. Let Terence get it. You know, the next time. But then, you know, the calmness and experience, you know, came through, and it's just like, I will just play the points 1 at a time. I know that card will come through, you know, and it worked for him.
Yeah, that's it. So we are going to wrap up here a little bit whilst we wait for round 5. We're just getting all the players back in the room. They've all had a bit of a break, so hopefully they'll come back with a bit of energy.
They don't look as tired.
They don't look as tired, yeah. They've definitely had something. So, okay, so we will be getting into round 5. We then have a further 2 more rounds of Swiss, and then we will have our top cut from there. So stay tuned, and we will be back with you in a bit.
Welcome back, Living Realms, Skirmish Season 4, to Leeds Armoury. We have everyone from Mana Screw here, so if you follow my channel, Baz the Bard, these are all the guys that you see week in, week out at Mana Screw, either playing really well or bending the rules like George likes to do with pouncing. And then everybody basically corrected. So thank you, everyone.
Don't forget about my muck-up.
Yeah, thanks for everyone who comments and corrections. Okay, so thanks to all the corrections, we have actually got a top 8.
Yeah,
Haven't we?
So thanks, guys.
So if you've seen his hands on Baz the Bard's videos, this is the face that goes with the hands.
Yeah, Mike the Destroyer is 5th. The rest of us have done
Submarine.
okay. I thought we were going to do better, but George
Good
was
start.
the KO.
Yes.
Rolled badly.
Have you enjoyed the KO game, sir?
Oh, I loved the day. I had no intention of doing well today.
Yeah.
Just wanted to just roll the dice and play KO. Oh yeah.
You even brought a popper, didn't you?
Yeah, it wasn't
You're not allowed
tournament
to
legal.
No,
you have to
no.
but you did chicken out on your last game.
And I
you chickened out on a Command and Conquer.
Which would have won me the game, yeah.
Terence, how'd you do with Bravo?
I did alright considering I built it this morning, finished 3 and 4, and just lost to a Rhinar where he intimidated my yellow. My blue. If I had the yellow, I could have paid into the staunch and blocked out and been fine.
So what were the reasons from switching to Bravo? Because you did play Briar. You were playing till 1 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah,
playing Briar.
it just didn't feel strong enough against Viserai, and I knew Viserai was going to be a very big showing today, and the fact that there's 4 Viceroys in the top 8
There's
is there.
5.
There's 5 Viceroys in the top 8 is a
Just
very
says a
good
lot.
reason
Yeah.
to switch. So it felt more consistent today, although my performance wasn't as good. I think the deck's good, deck's solid. I've just got to make a couple of tweaks, and tomorrow
It's
should
all
be better.
practice. It's practice for tomorrow. This is, Battle
Today was
Hardened-
literally reps for tomorrow.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of people are doing that. It's
Yeah,
practice for today. Yeah, Mike, you better. It's not.
Yeah, right.
No pressure, guys.
The butcher of pod 3 is going to smash it.
The destroyer. It's not the butcher. Darren, you played Chain, the only Chain player
Represent.
today.
Yeah.
Represent Chain. How did you go?
It was a very respectable 3-4, I think. Not bad.
No, it's not.
Are you, are you playing Chain tomorrow?
No.
Are you playing tomorrow?
I might jump on the bandwagon. I might play this. Maybe
Never played this ride before.
Bravo.
No, I never played it.
No.
He's beaten me enough.
Yeah,
of it,
yeah.
He knows how to do the stuff.
He's lost
It's
enough.
not that many different cards from Chain, is it? You just
Exactly,
got to
I've got
remember
most of
you
the
don't.
cards.
No soul shackling.
Yeah.
James, you're on Levia. Not
Yeah.
many Levia players today. I
There's
think
2
there
of
was
us.
3. Was it?
Oh, I don't know.
Let me check the list.
There was 7 of us actually.
There might be
Yeah,
seven.
the whole cult.
Let me check the list.
You're responsible.
Two Levias.
There was 2. There you go. Where did the other one finish? Did I finish above him at least?
I've no idea. Let me check the list.
Alan.
16 Kasai's.
Find
We
out.
don't have that list.
Ah,
Sorry, everybody, we're very professional.
It's a really
so how
cool
did you do, James?
variation.
3 and 4.
And how did you feel
Yeah.
Levia performed? Because I know when you came on stream,
Oh,
you
it
were
didn't do
kicking
good.
yourself
Yeah, I didn't do good.
for not blocking with 3 cards and setting yourself up.
Yeah, that
So
was
did you
stupid.
learn from it?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that already. I'm going to blame your streaming setup actually.
Nerves.
Yeah, for the nerves. Not for the nerves. It's just the equipment just put me off. No, yeah, it was a bad performance, but we bounce back. We move.
Are you playing Levia tomorrow?
Maybe.
Maybe. Not
Maybe.
decided yet.
I don't have the stuff for Viscera, so I could play your game actually.
Right, okay, so if you don't have the cards,
Yeah.
okay, we have a lovely reseller of cards out there, Chad Valentine from,
Oh,
Yeah.
from,
Yeah.
from
Good to see him ever stand.
fleshandbloodcards.com, and you can get a £10 discount if you put Baz the Bard 10 into the discount bit. And you can even arrange for collection. So before you even get here, you could have bought singles and pick it up for tomorrow's
It's a real thing.
We did it yesterday, didn't we?
Right, that
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
did do it yesterday.
So pretty much we did it on the way down,
Right.
and then
Brilliant, guys. Fantastic performance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark and Manuscrew.
yeah. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Mark.
Enjoy the top 8, guys.
Okay, so let's have a little look at where everybody finished. So I am going to learn about this. So
Top 8, it's about a 50-minute break. Need to talk.
half hour break. So
Half hour.
we shouldn't be too much longer until top 8 will be on. So and then for everybody at home,
Yeah.
everybody at home, obviously, I know there's been a few people that have been asking. About 20 minutes for the top 8. So bear with us on that. Okie dokie. So where have I got to? Rankings. So this was our rankings. That's not the right rankings. Bear with me. So let's start with the top 8. We'll leave it with Barry a second.
That's professional, that is. Okay, so top 8. We've got Alex Berry. We've just seen him with Dorinthia. Leon Holden has got Viceroy. Matt Folkes has got Viceroy. Sebastian Sommer has Bravo. Mike Kerslake has Viceroy. Jason Hamer, who we saw earlier, has Kasai. Jamie Faulkner, who we saw earlier, has Viceroy. And Jonas Benzati has Viceroy. So we've got 5 Viceroys, 1 Dory, 1 Bravo, and 1 Kasai.
There we are. There's our hero breakdown. So
We did say in our lunch break little session, we said that Viceroy was very strong. It was well represented at the Greek online tournament by Organised Play AU. So yeah, the performances have shone through again. There was 10 Viceroy at the beginning, and now we've got 5 Viceroy after 6 rounds have made it into the top cup.
yeah, I mean that's an eighth of the field with Viceroy, and it's
is
actually
it?
making up for sort of the 5/8 of the field going into in top 8 cars.
But as we were saying earlier, it's his ability to generate
So
absolutely
many
loads of rune
so many
charms
rune charms.
very quickly, combined with high damage cards or cards that have good damage with Go Again, like Swarming Gloomveil. 3 or 4 damage with Go Again. the abilities of meet and greet. It's coming in for
Come the
4.
art night and stuff
Yeah.
like this. They're all just
The ability to tutor in either way, as in become the Arc Knight or Rattlebones. It's amazing.
Yeah, so hang on, let me just go back and see. Now, look at that. Look, through the magic of technology, I have managed to update this. Now, one of the important things that obviously came out of this is we don't have an undefeated player going into the top cut. So obviously, Alex losing out to Liam in that final both puts on both on 6-1, and as you'll see there, we've actually got 5 players on 6-1. So
There was a lot of players going into the last round saying if you're going in on 5-1, you're pretty much guaranteed. It just depends on sometimes strength of schedule. When you actually got your loss.
yeah, and like I say, there's a lot of new names in that top 8 as well.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, and and we've got two guys in Sebastian Sommer and Jonas Benzati. They came across from Copenhagen to play today, and we already saw Danny play online, not online, on stream, to make up the trio coming from Copenhagen. I went over and had a good chat with them. They're such nice blokes.
Yeah,
They're really, really
all seem
nice.
really good. So hopefully we'll actually see them in the top 8 cut. So yeah, obviously commiserations to those that didn't make the top 8. I think there's been a good level of play from everybody all around. I think, as we've always said, this seems to be one of the events to really get together. And I do think there's a lot of people out there that may have put cards in their deck that they may be taking out tomorrow.
I think there's been a lot of people that have practiced today to get either they've taken a punt on a deck and they've played it, get some reps with it, see how it fares against the field, and see if they want to play it tomorrow. Like we've had Darren, he played Chain's not quick enough. Now he's thinking about switching to Viceroy. He's pretty much got all the cards because he's got Chain.
Yeah.
So it's not that much of a difference. He's got to quickly learn the lines. That's the difference.
And he was our only chain player today as well.
He was our only Chain player.
Yeah, and his first 2 games, although losses were quite close, and only you can say winning by an inch or a mile, it's winning, but
You've got to know how to finish a game. And even we saw on our last stream game with Liam versus Alex, even Liam, with the amount of rune chance he was creating, he was still having trouble finishing that game, finishing Dory off. And Dory was, she could have had that Dawnblade coming in for 3 and an attack reaction, in hand or a rout, and that would have been game over. So, you play until your last health. It is never done.
yeah, and actually, he's a good shout, and I'll pick him out because I've seen his chat come through. Obviously, Dimitri from another one of the Manuscript Crazy Brew crew.
Yeah.
A lot of people playing into Vis with only 1 null rune, so they're not respecting that stuff coming off that Rosetta.
No, but that you get that all the time. People would take an Arcanite Skullcap to instead. Whereas when we saw Matt Folks versus Matt Duggan, I had that chat with Matt. Would it have been better if Matt had taken the dynamos instead of the boots? Have dynamos to keep the armor going. Switch to a hood. Yes, he's not respecting the Rosetta, but he would have had more armor overall. It can be little tweaks, little things that maybe can make a difference.
Then vice versa, does the Runeblade player then switch and don't come in with the Rosetta as often?
It's such a powerful tool. That Rosetta for 2. It is for one.
Well, it's not for 2 though. That's the thing, and that's what was proven on stream. It's the rune chance plus the 2 plus the 2.
Yeah, but for 1 resource, exactly. Whatever rune chance you've created, and the arcane damage and the physical damage. No Runeblade player is going to leave home without a Rosetta Thorn. It's just like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is. So right, that was obviously our standings. Obviously, like I say, we've got our top cut that we'll be going into, and hopefully we'll get some good matchups in there. We are unfortunately at the end of the day where we are going to be seeing some mirror matches potentially. So apologies on that. We'll obviously try and keep those away from
this.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, with 16 Kasai and 10 Viceroy today, we've done quite well.
Yeah.
We normally obviously try and keep away from the mirrors where we can. Obviously, we're now at a point where we're not going to be able to avoid that, more likely as we go down that cut. Now, I think we've seen some good players in the Kasai player, so Jason and obviously Alex playing into Dorinthia.
Yeah.
We haven't yet seen, as it's Sebastian that's on Bravo.
Sebastian's on Bravo.
Yeah, so we haven't yet seen him. Obviously, to get this far, must be playing it quite well. So it's going to be interesting going into that. And they'll all have had to have come across Viscera already today.
I would have thought so. Yeah, you need to have a game plan to take on the amount of arcane damage that's coming your way. So yeah, I mean, Bravo is very good at soaking up damage. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Sebastian can do, and look at Bravo going forward as a counter to Viceroy through this skirmish season. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
So Fabio's not got the time up there. So what we'll do is we're just going to see how long we've got left for the players just coming back for the top 8. Obviously, they have been on a bit of a break because they have had 7 rounds and a brief lunch in between. So we have got even more rounds of Blitz tomorrow as well, haven't we? So
yeah, but there's more players tomorrow as well. There's over 100 players registered. I'm not sure if it's sold out. We had people walk in, straight in and then sign up today because they had 74 at the beginning of the day, and then when it actually after registration there was 79.
79, yeah.
So,
and we've also seen quite a few players coming across that have popped in to have a look and see what Flesh and Blood's all about. And you may or may not be aware that Living Realms are running their LRG Con this weekend, so it doesn't just include Flesh and Blood. I believe they've got Digimon tomorrow and they've had Dragon Ball Super today. So
they're actually checking out a real game.
So they obviously have got players interested. We're running behind the stream here. We've got a lot of people that have been popping their heads around, just checking out what the game's all about. And I think it has got a few people interested. So maybe we'll have even more players that want to go through.
Well, that's the thing. People head to Living Realms to play the game. When Living Realms can put on an event like this, in this venue, we're very lucky. We've had the UK Nats here. Now we've had, this Battle Hardened and Skirmished. It is a fantastic area to play in. We're only using half the hall today, and there's 79 players.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of growth there, and I know a lot of other stores are growing, and some of them are selling out their armories and their skirmishes. So it's very much a growing game, and I don't. There's very few people that I've come across that have gone, "Oh, that game ain't for me." Once they've tried it, you get a sort of a bug with it. So I know I have. I'm not nowhere near a competitive player, but I'm itching. I'm just watching the stream today, and I'm itching to get a few games out later. So with my jack, I mean, literally, I come down last night, and Terence has gone, "Here he comes with a jank," and I'm like, "Yeah, I have. I've got the jank." Yeah.
You did look at unwrapping a data doll. You were looking at data doll last night.
I've built a data doll deck, and I've just been talking about Aaron with Aaron about it, and. Look, it'd be so much fun to give it a go.
It would have been nice if someone came today with a data doll and just saw what he could do. I played on TTS the other day against data doll against Mike, and I was just like, I'll just throw Ice Lexi against it. We'll just see what he can do, and then I made a stupid move. I put Blizzard in my arsenal and could never play it out because he was just getting items all the time, and I was like, yeah, that was a bit silly, wasn't it? Should we just re-rack? And it was like, no, we're going to play the game out.
And I suppose in one of those sense, there's probably a solution to it, but Data was one of those fun decks.
It's not fast enough at the minute. When you see guys today, I mean, we've been very lucky in our games that we've shown, but a lot of the games today are 2-3 rounds, no more than that.
George has won on a couple of turn ones, hasn't he? As well?
Yeah, with his rolling KO, rolling high, just but you live the brute life. It didn't quite work out for him in the end. And that's the way it goes. But there's always tomorrow.
Yeah, and like I say, it'll be interesting to see what our meta breakdown is going to be tomorrow. So
it's going to be Viceroy. 100 players of Viceroy.
Yeah.
So once again,
obviously coming back to the hero representation from today. So we obviously had a big number of Kasai players.
Yeah, that's 16 hiding under there.
Yeah, that is 16. Yeah. I mean, 16. See.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's only one of those in the top 8.
Yep.
No, that's nothing to see. We've seen some really good Kasai players today, but and I did say obviously Jason is playing Kasai really well, and he showed that when he was playing earlier on stream. He was like, I'm going to wait this out, and I'm going to really do what I need to do when I need to do it.
But Kasai is a deck that demands experience and knowledge of play, because we saw when Jason played, he was so patient, waiting for that, waiting for the blood on her hands, which really turns Kasai on. He had the maximum amount of copper that he could take going into playing that card. You know what I mean? Whereas, we have seen other Kasai decks which are playing more of the Mentor card, and in Minerva, that if you can get her out and put her in your arsenal, yes, she will trigger your sabres, and she will make your sabres strength 3 instead of strength 2.
Like we saw from Matt Duggan.
Yeah, like we saw from Matt Duggan. Now, some players are getting that turn 2. Well, that can, you might not generate enough copper. Okay, if your opponent blocks it, you might squeak in 1 damage and you'll gain a copper. But you're getting that blood on your hands maybe a little bit too early, instead of the maximum where you want to get 6 copper to really just fire it in and just go, you ain't going to stop me.
It's like Bolton all over again. It's in the sense that you wait for that when you've got that double or triple lumina turn, and you just go nuts.
Yeah, but you can see why people want to play the mental one. It's just you need it at the right time, build it up, and then absolutely smash through. We nearly saw it with Matt Duggan in the stream. He had it in his hand. He just couldn't finish because, Matt managed to, come in with the damage cards, come in with the rune charts to prevent him from, getting that Kasai, super turn off.
Yeah, and that is it. We've mentioned obviously quite a few times today about the number of cards in decks and the probability of pulling out that starting hand to get you moving. If you've got that mentor card, that's a 1 in 4 chance potentially of drawing it. Sorry, 1 in 10 chance of drawing it on that first turn.
It depends how many they're running.
Turns.
Some are running 1, some are running 2. And if you get it late game, it's just a 3 block. Sometimes it's just a little bit too late. But if she can really just turn that power on, just give that little bit of a tweak, just to get that out.
Yeah. So you will have seen from our timings that we have quarterback. I believe it's about 45 minutes per round for the top 8. Now, given the players that we've got in this, I can't necessarily see those going to those timings. So they're probably going to be quite quick.
Fast.
Yeah, and that's it. And it is going to be quick. So bear with us. We will be back fairly shortly with your top 8. We're going to obviously cover the top 8, top 4, and then the final.
Yep.
And then close out potentially with our winner for today. So stay tuned and we'll be back soon.
Brilliant.
What a day.
Been brilliant, hasn't it?
10 rounds.
We did say Viceroy was strong.
Yeah.
Beginning of the day, we said Viceroy was strong. You had the usual suspects, people were thinking Oldham, Kano, and someone else, I can't remember now. Seems so long ago after so many hours, but there was the top 3 you would suspect going in, and we put, we said don't forget Viceroy. He is really strong, and he has smashed it today.
Yeah.
10 Viceroy players, 5 getting into the final, and
On the top 8, and then 3 going into the top 4.
Yeah.
And then a final of 2.
Yeah, mirror.
So it was good. Obviously, don't sleep on Dory. Alex
Dory's
did
good.
really well with that.
She will punish you.
Yeah,
Not wrong, and she will get you.
And obviously we didn't see it on stream, but I know you've got the video for your channel hopefully, and it was quite a tense one, wasn't it? Because there was a card in the Arsenal for Dory, and Mike was continuously playing around the route, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Even though it couldn't be paid for, but
thank you.
so
Yeah, it was a tense game. Yeah, you can see a top 8 and a top 4 on my channel, Baz the Bard, and that will be coming out next week. So stay tuned for that. And then I might be able to get some decks and put that as a deck link as well. So that'd be quite cool.
yeah. So I think that's pretty much it from us today. It's been a good day. It's
been brilliant.
Thank you again. So thank you for everybody that has been watching along. We've had quite a few people popping in and out the chat as we can, and hopefully most people will be back tomorrow. We will be back in about 13 to 14 hours. Well, it's probably 14 hours for the Battle Hardened.
Yeah.
The new format. Battle
Slightly
Hardened.
different judging team. There'll be
Yeah.
slightly different judges. So thank you to Jake Arms, head judge today. He did a fantastic job. There was Mark Quamby as well floating around, and Lucky Smith as well, as he goes by on Discord.
Yeah. So no, thank you to everybody that has been following along. Thank you to Barry for joining us again. Thank you to Live Rounds for inviting us along, and thank you to LSS once again for making it an awesome game. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, click the notification bell, because then you will get notified when we do go live in future, namely obviously tomorrow. Yes. So stay there. Thanks a lot for being on a great audience, and we'll catch you soon.
See ya.